Hey guys and gals, Tim here, Spec Technologies. Want to get started today doing a training on the A25 Graco pneumatic machine. It is the first week of April 2020, dealing with all this fun coronavirus stuff. Give you a quick little shop tour here, what we got going on. This is a trailer under construction. It's getting a pneumatic A25 machine. Graco, beautiful trailer, diamond plate trim. We have the generator in. We have the compressor in. Hose rack. This is our less expensive hose rack. I'll show you our next generation hose rack that we have coming up. Here's a rig waiting on a A25. It's all rigged up, ready to go. A25 should be in this week, maybe tomorrow, Friday. Let me see what we have for power up on this one. Yeah, there's another Winco generator. Nice Eagle compressor, 35 CFM. This is our new hose rack. Got some stuff engraved in there. Nice shelving, 3 spots to put some stuff that you might need to be working on your rig. Here's the rig we should be working on today. This is the Graco A25 pneumatic machine, 2,000 PSI, 6,000 watts of heat, which is plenty of heat. We're going to instruct you to try to get your materials to 70, 75, 80 degrees is the best temperature to start at in the drum. So this will be a fairly lengthy video. You guys just hang in there with me. We should be able to get this done fairly efficiently. We're going to be doing training like this right now, and maybe in the future, just to free up time for people. It's nice. We'll have some documentation. We can go back, or you guys can go back and reference stuff as needed. A lot of you guys, probably 98% of my guys are brand new contractors. We got some plastic sheathing. We got some drum pumps. There's our stack of hoses. Graco hoses we're using right now. We've run out of ours and we don't have time to build them. There's the hose rack, 150 feet of hose, Eagle compressor. This gentleman here is going to supply his own generator, so right now we're just running off of shore power. So the chain of events here will be today, we're going to get this compressor fired up. I may or may not stick that in the video. That's not super exciting. But I will make note that your choke and your fuel is right here. Make sure those are on. And brand new, sometimes they're a little pesky to start. I mean, they're Honda engines. They're real good engines. If you have to, you can take this cover off here, spray a little starter fluid in there for the first time, and get this thing fired up. Very dependable compressors. Haven't really had much issues with them. Generator, again, just like any piece of equipment, you're going to want to change the oil, keep it clean. I had a used trailer come in here. My guys just basically took a pressure washer. It was pretty dusty up in here. They just washed it out. They went down to the car wash and washed all the equipment and washed the generator. It's all made to do that. So not a big deal. I wouldn't just be blasting the generator head. But if you want to give it a quick wash down, you can do that. So this is a black trailer. Ramp door, 7,000 GVW. We're going to test this with some hydraulic oil. So I guess the first thing to cover here, guys, this is the supply line. This supply line, 3/4 inch, runs all the way down the trailer, comes to the back of the machine. You'll see on the back of the machine, we have a valve. And just below that valve is a Y strainer. Inside of that Y strainer, if you take that bolt out right there on the right bottom side, if you take that bolt out, there's a screen up in there that you're going to want to clean. You've got your B side and you have your A side. If you've already done the gun training, we've pretty much covered that the A is normally on the left side, this side of the trailer, A side. There you go. You see it on the pumps. My guys did a good job. Put the labels on there. And the B side is over here. The other line that's on this pump is a recirculation line. And you can either recirculate by hitting these valves. There's your blue one, your B side, your red's for your A side. And that does one of two things. Either dumps the pressure off of these gauges, or it allows you to actually heat material that's coming into the machine, runs through the heaters, and you can recirculate this back to the drums. The outlet for this is right up underneath here. Should be a little hole right there. I wonder if I can even get up under there. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a hole under there, and that's what reintroduces it back to the drum. But for me, these recirculation lines are very important as a safety matter, because let's say you get a clog in the gun block, which we covered on the gun training video. If you get a clog in the spray block, and you go and you take the gun off and you open the valve with your nut driver, and nothing comes out the A side, you probably have a clog in that block. Now, how do you get 1,500 pounds of pressure off of a machine and off of the hoses if you don't have a way to release the pressure? So these for me are safety. Had it happen before. I had to crack a nut on a job. No jokes there, guys. I had to crack open a high pressure fitting, a JIC fitting, and blew about 1,200 pounds, 1,500 pounds of material all over my chest. I did that with some leather gloves on, and the only way to do it. It's the only choice I had, guys, but not highly recommended. All right, remember we covered the hose, and I said before, your purple thermostat wire is right here, comes back to the machine, plugs in here, goes all the way to the other end where the gun is going to hook up, and it's reading temperature up there. It's reading it just before the whips, and it sends that information back to the Graco machine via this thermocoupler wire. Okay, and we're going to see temperatures and pressures right here in just a few minutes. Temperatures go there, pressures of course go there. Again, these are your 6-gauge wires that feed the heat down the hose. And here's your air line right here that we'll get to when we get down to the end of the hose and get the gun on it. So I think first thing we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put some air in the compressor, and then we are going to bleed this machine. We're going to prime it. Basically, we're going to pick up hydraulic oil out of these buckets, and I'm going to pressure test it back to these valves. I'm going to keep those valves closed back there. A and B valve, the yellow handles, your incoming material. We're going to make sure we don't have any leaks. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open these valves, the yellow handle valves in the back. And we're going to start sending material all the way through this hose, which goes through the wall, that little mouse hole there. And we're going to bleed it all the way to the gun block. Now, if you were going directly into foam, you would have these drums directly in the foam. But this customer at this point doesn't want to haul heavy material back to, I think, Michigan is where it's going. So we're going to test this with hydraulic oil. I cannot recirc. I can't show you how that works because we'd end up blowing oil all over the floor, making quite a mess. We've done that a few times. This blue piece of equipment here, this is your refrigerated air dryer. Not much to it. I have it off right now because it makes a little noise. Sounds like a small refrigerator, basically. There is a line right down there. That line spits the water out underneath the trailer. So if you see water under your trailer, don't panic. This dryer is doing exactly what it needs to do. So what I'm probably going to do, I'll go fire up the compressor. I'll spare you the details of that. We'll get some air in the tank, and then I'll shut it off so you'll be able to hear me better. And we will resume this in just a minute. All right, guys, we are full up now. We are at 170 psi. Make sure that this valve over here is open. And at the end of the day, I would recommend closing it, because if you spring a leak, let's say in this hose or anywhere in the system, The drum pumps in the back will just keep on pumping until you either run out of material in the drums or you run out of air. Shut that off for a minute, make it a little quieter. I'm going to set this at about 100 pounds. This thing will go back a little bit. I don't know where it's at right now. All right, so we're feeding air to the drum pumps. This thing loose here. We've got, I'll get this dialed in a minute. I'll get that regulator dialed in. But we've got air here available to us. And again, what we're going to do when I plug this in and start turning this regulator up, these pumps are going to start pumping. They're going to pump material in these 3/4 inch hoses down to the back of the machine. Again, you'll see our yellow handles are both closed. And let's go ahead and do this. If I can do this one-handed here. Let's see how this works. Get it up on there. Yeah. Hold on. I had to put down the phone to get that done. Okay, so now we got air on the B pump. We got air on the A pump. We're going to go ahead and reach over here now and turn this regulator up. You hear the pump will start to pump. Shaft is going up and down. Now I'll have 100 pounds of air available over there. These are T3, so it's a 3-to-1 transfer pump. If I give it 100 pounds of air, it'll give me 300 pounds of fluid. I don't need that much. So what I do normally is just set this regulator, point straight up at 12 o'clock. That's easy to see from the back of the trailer. So there's your B pump. Looking for leaks, don't have any leaks. Here's my A pump, going to do the exact same thing. Pull that knob out. Yep, let me see. Sorry about that, guys. Alright, we'll go ahead and start tightening this up. Pump's pumping. Okay, again, this one I'm going to do the same thing, straight up at 12 o'clock. Boom, and they're going to jump a little bit while you're pumping. No leaks, got nothing going on there. And I'm going to go up front, I'm going to take my nut driver and make sure that my block ends are closed on the gun block. Otherwise, when I open this system up, when I open these yellow handles, it's going to send fluid through the whole machine and come up these hoses, and if that block is open at the end, it's going to run hydraulic oil all out the front of the trailer. So let me go get a nut driver and we'll go ahead and get those open. Alright, so here's my gun block. Somewhere here, let me get it situated. Alright, we're going to make sure that these are shut. We covered part of this block over on the gun training video. But those valves open and close right there at the bottom. Of course, the gun attaches to this. We covered that on the gun training video. Here's your whips. Here's your airline. Comes with this red whip. Quick disconnect for the end. Plugs in the back of the gun. And an on-off valve here to let air in and out of the airline. So we're going to go to the back now. We're going to go ahead and open up the yellow Y strainer valves. You'll hear material start to run through the machine. And we're going to get material up into the spray hose now. So reach right back here. It's almost violent the first time we fire this thing up. Come back over here on this side, open this valve. Okay. Doing their thing. What I will tell you, when you're running foam, the open cell, they'll pump pretty close to the same. We were talking about viscosities before. The closed cell is about 3 times thicker right out of the can on the B side than on the A side. So if you're starting to pump closed cell 2-pound foam, you're going to notice that that B hose is going to pump a lot slower. You'll also see it down at the gun block. If you open both valves without running the machine, you'll see the thickness difference in the foams if you open both valves and kind of compare them into a bucket. So we've torqued out now, which means we've put as much pressure as we possibly can into this system and into the hose. When I open the valves on the hose, on the gun block, we're going to get a lot of air out of it, and then we're going to get hydraulic oil. So let's jump back up front. All right, guys, I got some help here so I can hold the camera. What we're going to do now, we're going to go ahead and just open these up. Once you put foam in here, you're going to be purging out all this oil if we've not already done this for you. So hear the air coming out? Drum pumps in the back are priming the system. You can probably hear them. And there's your oil. So there's your A side. And shut that down. Open up the B side. There's your air. Once you have fluid in the system, you're not ever going to have to do this again. But if you're just priming out your rig for the first time, this is going to be the same exercise whether it's pneumatic or it's hydraulic or it's electric. And there's your B-side product. So now the system would be primed. You'd have fluid in this entire hose. We're going to check for leaks. We've not pressured up the system yet. That's why these connections are not scuff jacketed and taped up yet. Let's check our air. We're a little low on air, so I'll probably refire this compressor here in a second so we have air, and we'll get back to the machine. Hey, good morning, guys. Morning of April 4th, I think it is, 2020. We finished up yesterday by priming the system out with the drum pumps right here, using only the drum pump pressure. I don't know what we have in the compressor tank this morning. We may just go fill that up again and then shut the compressor off so you can hear me. We've, since yesterday, put a new regulator in. I've got Jacob up here adjusting it. We're going to set that at 100 PSI. Once we get 100 PSI in the tank up front, we're pretty dang close. You can see right there, once that's set, you're probably never going to touch it again. So we're going to go ahead and fire up this machine now. And the first thing you want to do when you get to the job and you get power, first thing you want to do, go ahead and kick your machine on. And you're going to see it light up. There's a main power switch on this side right here. A yellow and red switch. You're going to turn that to the on position. And you're going to get what should be pretty close to ambient temperature, whatever it is in your trailer. So we're somewhere between 46 and 49 degrees if you take the average. But the first thing you want to do, you want to check your target temperatures. A little target button right there will switch us over. The factory preset is 125 on your A side heater, 125 on your B side heater, and 125 on your hose. But the first thing we want to do, we want to go ahead and turn the hose heat on because that takes the longest to heat up. It should heat up 1 to 2 degrees per minute. And when you push this button, you're going to go ahead and you're going to hear the click of the relay. So I'll be quiet here for a second. Okay, you can hear that click. That's going to start blinking. You're going to see the temperature start coming up. And it is flying up there. Let's see what's going on. If I hold this button down, I'm going to get an amperage reading. So 44 amps is great. That's our hose heat heating up. We've got hydraulic oil in there. And we can wait on this, or we can start preparing our job, getting things ready to go. One thing I need to tell you, there is an air valve back here. If you look right back here, just behind this lubrication jar, we'll cover that in a minute. There's a valve back here, so if your machine doesn't run, go ahead and make sure this valve is open. Nope. Okay, that valve is open. This valve right here is for recirculating. For parking the machine. And we'll cover that towards the end of the day. That should be in the up position, otherwise you're going to hear air come out of it. They should have made that thing neon orange so you can see it, but it's back up in there. The temperatures are coming up. I've got a little bit of pressure on the machine. And we're going to go ahead and fire up the compressor one more time. Let's get some air in here. And we'll put some pressure on this thing. We'll be able to see that on these gauges. Again, we're not going to be able to recirculate because we're not in the drums. And we will get this thing running in just a minute. Hang on, guys. Alright, we just fired up the compressor and shut it down. We're back up to about 170 some odd pounds. Remember yesterday we bled our hoses out into this bucket, got a little bit of hydraulic oil in there. Let's go check our hose heat. And again, we're just priming this system out. Once you're in foam, you're going to be in foam unless you either purge the A side out or spray with the machine every couple weeks. That's kind of our rule of thumb. Every 2 weeks, you want to get out here and circulate some A side. I think I showed you early on. If you want to run just the A side, if you want to pump just the A side, you have to bleed the machine down to 0, come back to the B side, and shut that yellow handle valve right there. That will starve the B side of the machine from getting material, and the A side will be the only side building pressure and pumping material. And I can also review that. If you call me, I can walk you through that. That's not a big deal. Alright, so we have 170 psi up front. We have 100 psi right there. Our machine has, I don't know what that is, 30 psi, let's say. And we are pretty much ready to pump with this thing. So we're primed out all the way to the gun block. I'm going to go ahead and open this valve. This machine should start pumping and building some pressure. Okay, makes a couple strokes. You heard the drum pumps. Now we're at 500 psi, nice and even. Everything looks great. Okay, if I want to get more pressure, I'll go ahead and pull this knob out. I think we run this at about there. We'll come back down here. We'll check our gauges. There we are. We're at 1,000 pounds. B side's a little bit lower. It could be. Yep, air was unplugged on the drum pump, Jacob just told me. So we actually starved that B side a little bit, but I think we're still in good shape. Okay, if I needed to bleed this pressure off, I could go ahead and pop these valves. But again, we don't want to do that because we'll shoot oil all over the place. But right now, once I reach temperature, I'm pretty well ready to spray. You know, I want a little bit more pressure. I'm going to come up here and turn this up. I want a little bit more pressure here. Maybe a stroke or two. There we go. Now where are we? 1,200, 1,300 psi. Really good temperature to start with. Now the B side, if we're spraying closed cell foam, a lot of the B sides have a blowing agent in it. It's not water blown. And the B side, once we get it in the hose and start putting some heat on it, is going to want to expand. That gas is going to want to try to get out of the hose. And what that's going to do, that's going to put a back pressure on this gauge, because that gas is kind of like a Coca-Cola bottle. If you open it and close it and open it and close it, you know, when you shake it, that bottle gets really, really, really hard. Well, that's what's happening here on this B side. Right here is that the blowing agent's trying to get out of there. So these gauges actually read the back pressure developed by the hose. So if you think of the A side, and I think I might have already covered this, as being Coca-Cola, and that being a Wendy's Frosty, and you're trying to push material down it, it's absolutely going to take more pressure to push the milkshake through than it is the Coca-Cola. The Coca-Cola is just going to flow out of there. Because of this, you're going to find on a traditional single drive system, you're going to find that you're probably going to have to buy a drum of ISO about every 9 or 10 kits of foam. And it's just a viscosity issue. I think we covered before that every 10 degrees below 70, the viscosity on the B side almost doubles. So if we're looking at 50 degrees and we have 350 centipoise here, let's say, and 1,000 centipoise here, well, we're 20 degrees below 70, so this viscosity is probably 3,000 centipoise. And this viscosity, because the ISO is very linear, is closer to probably 400. It just doesn't thicken up the way that the resin does. So if you think of this as pancake syrup, and you think of that as Coca-Cola, you know, you put this in the refrigerator, it's going to get thick. You put Coca-Cola in the refrigerator, it just gets cold. So that's kind of how ISO works. Our hose temperature is coming up. Pressures look good. I could probably start spraying when this is about 100 degrees. And then what's going to happen is the preheaters, the A heater and the B heater, is going to feed hot material into the hose, and it's going to rapidly speed up the heating of the hose. I do not turn these on until about 3 to 5 minutes before I'm ready to spray. And the reason being is that you have a, pretend this is the heat rod, and you have material coming through the tube passing over the heat rod. Well, if you have material just sitting there, and that heater is turning on and off and on and off up to 600 plus degrees, you're going to start caramelizing material on the heat rod. And you're going to lose heating capacity. You're going to end up to start getting junk in your hose and in your screens that's unexplainable, and you're going to be like, Tim, what's going on? And I'm going to tell you to check those heat rods, which are back in this unit right here where those red buttons are. That's the whole heat rod assembly right there. There's 4 heat rods in there, and you would have to break that down and clean those heat rods up. So we're just going to give this a minute. We'll take a little break. We'll come right back. We'll show you how to put the gun on there, and we will be able to spray hydraulic oil today because we don't have foam in here. We do have hydraulic oil for testing all the systems, and we'll be right back. While we're waiting on the machine to heat up, Jacob is up here. We've put some pressure on this. We got about 1,300 pounds. So he's going to cover this in some scuff jacket and tape this up. You have this connection right here about every 50 feet on the hose. And we covered the hose video. You might want to refer back to that, everything that's in that bundle. It's not super complicated. We could always walk you through it. He's pulled some hose outs out here on the ground, heating up. And we're going to get ready to put this gun on here. Again, the machine's heating up. We're at 74 degrees. Drum pumps are ready to go. We're ready to fire. We are locked and loaded. Give me just a minute. We'll get the gun on here. All right, still waiting on this hose heat. These are Graco hoses. These aren't our hoses. Actually seems to be a little bit slower than our hoses. They have a copper round wire that they wrap this with. We wrap ours with a flat wire. A little bit more surface area on the hose itself. But all right, so we're back. Here's your gauges. They're still at about 1,200 psi. Hose is coming up. We're at 94. I've not turned on the preheaters yet. Jacob's going to go ahead and put this gun on. This is the easiest way to hold this block. If you see what Jacob's doing here, he has the nut driver holding the block like so. He's going to kind of maneuver this gun in there. And you'll see how the nut driver attaches to the bottom of the gun. Pretty simple. Make sure your check valves are in there and that you don't cross thread this, because when you open those high pressure valves, you don't want to get shot in the face. We have a little exercise here that we do. We'll show you in a second how we open these valves. So Jacob's going to make sure that the gun is in safety. He's going to put air to it. Hook air to it. He's going to put the gun into safety. You're going to want to make sure you have a lot of air coming out of here. You have a dimple with your finger. We covered this in the gun training video. If you do not have air coming out of there, you have a clog right there in the 45 of the gun. And we covered that pretty thoroughly in the gun training video. So what we do here, these two valves, of course, that's your A side. Okay? It says right there on the gun, A, somewhere, it says A. Here's the A. The block also says A someplace. I don't remember where it is. Yep, right there. There's the A. But we're going to go ahead and just crack these valves super quick. Open and shut them. Boom, boom. There you go. Make sure we don't have any leaks. Boom, boom. And my theory is, I'd rather have that thing in the off position before my brain figures out that it's leaking. So that's just an exercise that I do there. Now we can go ahead and open them. It's about 3 turns. You do not have to He-Man these. 1, 2, 3. Now they are wide open. As soon as you release that safety, this gun's live. You point it and squeeze that trigger. Whatever you spray, you own it. You're going to have foam on it. So right now, we're just going to do a little quick purge into a bucket. Try not to make a whole stinking dang mess here. It's usually easier in one of these buckets because you can shoot right into the nozzle. Hopefully not make a mess. All right, hold up. Hold up. Yep. All right, so we're ready to spray. I'm going to come on over here and watch these heaters. There's your A heat. There's your B heat. Watch how fast they come up. They're very, very fast. They run up to about 600 degrees when we tested them here on the garage shop floor one day. And they're going to heat right up. Your hose is close to 100. Boom, boom, boom. Everything looks good. So you got 50-degree material. We have to spray at 125. That is a 75-degree temperature rise. And this is why we tell you guys, get your material up to about 75, 80, 85 degrees. That's fine. First of all, the machine's not going to have to work as hard. I'm not sure this machine will go from 50 to 125. I've used it at 55 to 125. 50's pretty low, so try to get your material temperatures up. That's going to help you with your viscosities. It's going to help you with your yield. It's going to help you with your pressures. It's going to help the machine operate a little easier. So there we are. We're at 125, 126. They may overshoot, and the reason those overshoot is because the thermostat is right there. One on each side. One on the A side, one on the B side. You can see it down there. Let me see if I can wiggle down in there. Okay, that's it back behind that big bolt. That little tiny thing that's going into the block. Okay, and what happens is that heat rod sits right up against the thermostat. The thermometer sits right up against the heat rod. So the machine is actually reading primarily the temperature of the heat rod and a little bit of the fluid. It's fairly accurate when it comes out here by our studies. We put thermocouplers out here. It's pretty close. But you're also going to be looking at the quality of your foam. So here we are, guys. We're hot. We got heat. We have pressure. The machine is in the on position. There must be some European something I don't understand about an O in a line. I never really looked into that. The handle says on and off, so that sure does help me. Pressure looks good. Valve is open in the back. I still have 100 psi of air. Our drum pumps are still up at noon. Drum pump B up at about noon. We're in good shape. Jacob's going to go ahead and flip the air on. You hear the air in the drum. All right. He's going to turn his safety off. Now he's ready to spray. And he's going to spray. We're going to watch these gauges. Okay, that's pumping. Pump in the back is pumping. See the pump in the back. Drum pumps are pumping. Pressures look good. Pressures look good on A. Pressures look good on B. And we're losing air here, so we're going to have to refire the compressor. Okay, he just let off the trigger. Pressures are back up to about 1200. And again, you guys know that the compressor is off. So we're losing air here. Normally your compressor would be running, and that would be up to 100 psi. But even at 60, we're still able to spray. If your compressor shuts off while you're spraying, you're going to lose pressure on the machine, and your pattern's going to go from probably, you know, a nice big pattern, and it's going to start to tighten up. And you'll see that if you're spraying a wall and you lose either temperature, you lose heat, or you lose pressure, you know, just stop spraying. Don't keep spraying if your pattern changes. So that's that for spraying. I'll come right back in a minute. Let's just say that we've sprayed for half the day, and we're going to be ready to shut this down. I'll show you how to park this machine. Remember, parking is done right back there on this little valve right there. And I'll show you how to use that. And we'll get you packed up so you can get home. We'll cover a couple quick ways to clean this gun, and we'll get you done. Stand by. All right, we're going to cover the absolute most important thing. If you don't do anything else and you don't remember anything else, remember this one thing. At the end of the day, you want to park your machine. And what that does is you have your pump back here, goes up and down and up and down and up and down all day. And there's a couple of shafts in there that are attached to the pumps. The A side, like we covered, is moisture sensitive. And if it's parked in the up position, that means that the A side shaft is out in the atmosphere. It's in the air. And that shaft, because a seal on a shaft is not a perfect seal, you're still going to get some residual. And what happens is if you park it in the up position, that isocyanate, the A side, is going to crystallize on the shaft. And the first time you run the shaft down, it's going to rip the seal. So the most important thing we're going to cover is how to park this machine. And the way we do that, there's a couple ways to do it. One is you turn the machine to the off position. Okay, turn the machine to the off position. You come back to this little knob. Okay, you point it forward. Okay, you go back to the on position. Now you hear the air? That air is not going to let this piston come back up. Okay, but I have to get it to park. I have to get it to go down. I have a lot of pressure here. So the one way that I can get it to go down is to squeeze the gun. We haven't cleaned the gun yet. All right, the one way to get it to park down and relieve pressure. That's all we need to do is relieve pressure. Put it in the bucket. All right, let me see if I can get back behind here. Let's see if we can see where the pump is. Okay, the pump is almost down. Jacob's going to go ahead and squeeze the gun trigger. Boom, it parks down. It is in the down position. It will not come back up. All right, we lost a little bit of pressure, which is good. Jacob's done over here. He's done. He can hold on for a minute and we'll clean the gun. So that's one way to do it. Okay, don't forget, if you want to put the machine away, turn that off. And then you can come back here and put this back in the up position. Okay, the machine is parked. If I hit this handle, if I turn this back on, the machine's going to try to pump up the pressure again. So watch it, okay, watch it. I'm just going to turn the red handle, I'll put it in the on position, and it's going to try to pump. Okay, so there it pumped again. We're back at 1,000 psi, and look what happened. The pump now is, somewhere, but yeah, it's pretty close to the bottom. It's trying to park. It's trying to create pressure. It's trying to go down, but we are at pressure on the front of the machine. We are at pressure. Okay, if I go to park the machine, same thing. I don't even think I have to shut that off. I just have to move this park valve back to forward. Jacob's going to go ahead and squeeze the trigger. Let me get back to the back again, Jacob. All right, we're going to watch the pump. Down position. It's in the down position. Go ahead and shut that off. Come back here one more time and get it ready for the next day's work. Okay, we are parked. We have some pressure on the machine. Okay, we can turn all of our heaters off, off, and we're done for the day. I can turn the main power off here, or I can turn it off up at the breaker. So there are also a couple other untraditional ways to park this thing. If I wanted to, and I already had the gun off the block, okay, same thing here. I'm going to put the machine in the on position. I'm going to move this forward, okay, and I can either bleed these blocks off, okay, because I have to get rid of pressure, bleed the blocks off until I know the machine parks. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is I could come up here and actually just create more pressure. Let's see where the pump is. Okay, the pump is halfway. I can create more pressure if I have enough air. I may not. I can just turn this up, okay, until the pump parks. And it'll go down in the down position and it'll stay in the down position. The other way I could do this, if the gun is off the block, is I could actually bleed the block. All I have to do is put the recirc valve in the open position. Okay, put it open where it's making that noise. Okay, that's open. That's closed. Okay, as long as it's making noise and I can relieve pressure or create more pressure, whatever I have to do to get the pump to move, it will go to the down position and that's where it'll stay, and that's where you want it. We're going to go over doing a quick couple, 2-3 ways to clean the gun. We covered a lot of that in the gun video, and we should have you out of here in just a minute. All right, guys, so we just sprayed for the day. We parked the machine. We turned all the heaters off. We're going to go ahead and show you a couple different ways to clean this gun out. So this is the Graco way, which they tell you to remove this little cap, and you have a Zerk fitting under there. And what you're going to do, you're going to make sure your valves down here, these two little valves are closed, your fluid valves, make sure those are closed. You're going to go ahead and stick your grease gun on there. A little tricky sometimes. And you're probably going to give it about 5-6 squirts. You'll see a little bit of grease come out the front. I think our gun is empty, actually. I don't think we have any grease in it. But you'll see a little grease come out of here. And if you watch the gun cleaning video, you'll understand what this does. It fills that entire head with grease, goes into the impingement ports, comes out the front of the gun, and it's a good overnight way to do that. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it, and that's not my preferred way, because if you watch the gun cleaning video, I show you the one port that goes into the 45 that potentially you can push garbage back into there and end up not getting air out of this front end. So if you don't get air out of that front end, you know that you've clogged up that 45 right there in the handle and that port. And we covered how to take this whole gun apart. So if you need to go back and refer to that, please feel free to. So the other quick way I like to do it is pull the air chuck off the back, the air valve thing. I don't even know what the technical term of that is. And what we do is you're going to have a bottle of TSL oil. Okay, you'll have a bottle of oil. You can put a little carb cleaner down in there. You can spray it down in there. You'll have to turn your safety off. So Jacob, go ahead and turn that safety off. Okay, you'll put some carb cleaner down in there, and you'll put your air back on there. Boom, you'll open your air valve. Okay, it's going to spit some of the oil out, but make sure these are closed. And then you can go ahead and trigger the gun. Let me fire up the compressor here because we are running out of air. Stand by. All right, we're back. We were down to about 40 pounds of air. Hard to make a pneumatic air-operated gun work with no pressure. So we're back up to 170 on the compressor tank. We are back up to 100 psi right there. We demonstrated one way to grease the gun. Here's the other way we do it. We've put either brake cleaner in there, which we have here. We can do a little brake cleaner, or we can do a little brake cleaner down in there, right up in it, fill it up best you can. Every place the air goes, that cleaner is going to go. Go ahead and put your air back on there. Make sure that your fluid valves are closed. Open your air valve. All right, and you're going to see when he shoots it. Okay? So that's some of the hydraulic oil, and that is some of the brake cleaner. I would probably do that twice. And then we're going to go ahead and put some TSL in there. TSL stands for Throat Seal Lube. You can use this, or you can use mineral oil. Going to put a few drops in there, like so. Bloop, 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 bloop. And we're going to put the air back on it. You shouldn't get much out of it until he squeezes the trigger. Okay. Alright, so now we got TSL oil. I would probably do that once or twice. Put your gun back in the lock mode. Turn your air off. And hang your hose up. If you take the gun off, I like to take this block right here. If the gun's off, let's say, make sure that you clean your ports. Your port up in there and the ports in the block. Make sure that all that gets cleaned. The two ports there, so you don't get hardened ISO in there. But you can also take this block, and if you hang it just right in the trailer on the rack, hang it all the way to the floor, and let that block hang into a little bucket of the Pura urethane solvent. So when you come back out in the morning, any hardened ISO on there, foam on there, is all broke down, and you'll be able to clean that easy with the wire brush. The other thing we've been doing is if you take the air cap off and you take the retaining nut off, you can actually cut a corner of a plastic bag that covers the whole gun in your hand, feed the nozzle of the gun through it, thread that back over it, and put your air cap back on, and it protects your gun with a plastic bag. I think those plastic grocery bags are nice and light. They'd be easy to use, and you'd be able to, still access all the components on the gun. That's it for that. The only other thing I'd like to show you, and I covered this earlier, we have pressure on these pumps. And if you don't shut the valve off at the compressor tank, or you don't disconnect these, and you get a leak, let's say you get a leak here, or you get a leak in the spray hose. Let's say you get a leak here. You got a 1500 psi. If you get a leak, okay, those drum pumps are going to run until you are either out of air or you are out of material. And you don't want that to happen, because that'll happen inside the back of your trailer. You could, if you wanted to, you could close these valves in the back. But if you have no air pressure, they really have no place to go. The other last thing I need to cover, this lubrication bottle, we call it the little peanut jar. Basically what that does is that lubricates the A-side pump shaft as it's going up and down all day long. Keep your eye on that. When it starts to get brown and a little bit milky, you want to change that out with TSL oil. Take the bottle off of there, blow it clean with some gun cleaner, brake cleaner, or car cleaner. And you can either use the TSL oil, or you can use mineral oil. The machine looks good. Again, we can come right up here, shut the machine off here. That's done. The dryer we didn't run today, but that's pretty self-evident. So that'll turn on. I think we covered this a little earlier. It drains out the bottom of the trailer. Done, done. Everything looks good. Make sure your drums are strapped in. And that's about all I have on this video right now. I may add to it later. If you guys have questions, please let me know. We'll get it squared away. April 4th, 2020, still dealing with this coronavirus deal. And we are still working. I'll always be accessible by phone. So if you need to get a hold of me, 770-274-9888. Stay safe, my friends.